All right. Call the meeting to order with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States. And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Happy New Year and happy post-holidays. We have a guest to start our meeting, Miss Luann Brown from Buffalo Pre and Perinatal. And Luann, please.
How fast was the talk?
Okay.
Hi, I'm Luann Brown, the CEO of Buffalo Perinatal Network, and I kind of foisted myself on Greg Gill to get me to come here. I went to the child fatality. Review meeting a couple months ago that CPS does, and I was listening to the case they presented, and as I was listening, I kept thinking that my agency perhaps could have helped. I'm a nurse. I also worked at Children's Hospital for 30 years, so I kind of but the reason I thought this was because this case that we talked about is probably a family that could have benefited from our services. So I'm going to tell you so we are the Buffalo Network, and we have 3 programs. 2 of the programs I think might be appropriate, because when I'm thinking, when you're in the homes, you may see stuff, and I'm not sure what your referral from. If you see something you think might be concerning, obviously sometimes you're in an emergency situation and you're basically trying to save somebody. But this particular case, I think would have benefited from one of our programs. So we have programs is the Healthy Families, which is a national program. We're actually the largest in our state. We cover about 400 families. So our programs, we center mostly on the east. East and west side of Buffalo. But we also, Healthy Families also goes to Tonawanda, which is where this case was that we reviewed. In Cheektowaga, South Buffalo, a little bit of Hamburg. And this program is evidence-based. And we basically link with pregnant moms, and we actually sit in the prenatal clinic waiting areas at the hospitals. It's probably something that could have been done in that case. Our other program that we work at is our community health worker program. Those are kind of my boots on the ground staff. They work with not just pregnant, they'll work with women from 14 to 44. So anyone who's never had a baby, that might be our young teen or adolescent that maybe needs to get to family planning. We want them to get through school. Somebody who maybe had a high risk, maybe had a preemie, or someone that is pregnant, that has nothing. So they actually do street outreach in Buffalo. They go to the neighborhoods, knock on doors, ask for women, hand their cards out. We actually had, I've contracted with the Buffalo Police just to come with them now because of the high rate of shootings that have been in the areas we go to. But they do basic things, like they find homeless girls, so we do basics from getting them health insurance, health provider. We're trying to get them housing, food, it's all the basics. And then we'll stabilize them, and then we'll step back. You know, once they're stable and we know that they're okay, they're in a safe environment. If there's a child involved, we'll follow them until they're 2. Both those programs, we do screen for domestic violence, substance abuse, and depression. And we'll make, connections that way. The other program, which is probably a little bit more, but I'm sure you might run into clients, we have a new fatherhood program that we started. There's not too much for dads out there, a lot for moms and babies, but dads just weren't a lot of programs. So we actually got a grant from OSHI to start this program. So it's an evidence-based program. It's a 13-week support group. Where the guys come in, they work with my coordinator, they talk about communication, how to co-parent. There's always a lot of the issues. They might not be with the mother anymore. Domestic violence, personal development, health, again, trying to get them, and we're also trying to link the guys with jobs or education if they need it, because that's a big problem. Some of the guys, they can't afford to support their families. I think our claim to fame is we have very good outcomes. We've been around a long time, and we have very high rates as far as getting them immunized, make sure they're going for their well baby visits, their postpartum visits. I think our claim to fame, which I like to talk about, is when we look, especially with our pregnant moms, when we look at our low birth weight rates compared to the zip codes we serve, the people that don't participate in our program, we cut them in half. That's a huge savings. I mean, to stay in a NICU is $1,200 a day if you're in an intensive care nursery. So when we costed that out, we figure we save about $700,000 a year. My people are not, staff is not clinical people. They're people from the community. 86% of the staff we serve, the clients we serve are either African American or Hispanic, because those are they have the highest rates. And my staff is that same mix. A lot of them are from the community. 30% of them speak Spanish. It's a huge barrier for our clients, because if they go to DSS or they have to go to WIC and they don't understand the language, my staff can advocate for them. What else? That's kind of it. So I don't know if this, I'm thinking you guys are spread out all over, and that some of you are in the neighborhoods I'm in. They are the high-risk areas, and I'm sure that you are in these homes. It's not an emergent situation, which I think a lot of times you're in an emergent situation, you don't have time to do this, but I'm not sure if this would be a service that would be helpful to you. You guys have questions? Yes?
So what is the actual referral process then?
Well, what I brought is, and I only brought 10, but there's packets here. I put the zip codes that we serve, so you can see the zip codes we're in. Sometimes all you have to do is give us a name and a phone number. My staff are like the CIA, they can find people wherever they are. But you can either fill this out, there's one for the community health worker program, which is the more needy client, the one that's not connected to the system, that's the client they're looking for. Doesn't have health insurance, might be homeless. This is the parenting program. If you just write the name, or I will leave my card, you can call the office and give us a name and a number or an address, and we'll go out there and do an assessment on the mom.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
As far as reporting goes, for those agencies that are covered, how would this be affected with HIPAA? Because you're obviously not the receiving institution for mandated reporting where you have the legal exception.
So as far as if you refer to us,
Right, where an agency's covered and has an obligation to keep confidential, protected health information.
right. Well, we get referrals from the hospitals, we get referrals from other agencies, so they will call us, and usually all they'll do is sometimes they'll just give us a name and a number, and then we call, so they're not really giving us, because we'll go out and do our own assessment. And we're not as, I wouldn't say interested in the medical, but we're not medical people, we don't do like what the VNA does.
Right.
So we're really looking at more the social determinants of health, the housing, those kind of things. Any other questions? I'm assuming you see things like this when you're in the homes. I mean, when Greg was at the meeting, I mean, like I said, the detective from Tonawanda, you know, when he was describing the case, and I was telling him what we did, he said, oh my God, he said, you know, if we would have been in there and been able to perhaps intervene with their family, you know, there might have been a different outcome. So, just wanted you to know we're here, and are some of you in these zip codes, the east, west side, Cheektowaga? Some of you are in those areas? Okay, all right, so I can leave those, and I'll leave my cards.
If you just give us one copy, we can scan and disseminate to everybody that's on
Great.
the council.
All right, I'll do this, and I'll also leave my card.
Do you have, is there like a standardized training package that if Scott could set you up with maybe an agency or something to do a training session?
Yeah, that's fine.
I would definitely want to get that release of the information cleared up before we.
It's only for agencies that are covered by HIPAA. A lot of the agencies that we deal with aren't, but the commercials certainly are gonna be.
Yeah, so we're not covered because we're not providing clinical care, so we're not under the HIPAA guidelines. But we will get releases from our clients, you know, that we have to refer them to somewhere else, but we're not a HIPAA, because we're not we're not providing clinical care.
We encountered a similar thing, not to get too sidetracked here. But
Yeah.
we encountered a similar thing when we were doing a false study in the town of Hamburg, and in terms of release of information and so forth. So I have an idea on another way to tackle this too, just to be sure, just even from a confidentiality
care.
breach
Right.
Yeah.
standpoint, because you were there, so for a specific reason or whatnot. So I'm happy to help any way I
Good
can
question.
once
No,
we
it's a good
get over
question.
that hump.
No, we don't wanna.
I think maybe whatever information can get put together, and if Luann can get a clear answer and be able to address it, then maybe working for an agency
Right.
that's in these areas to host a training would be useful.
Yeah, because, I'll get clarification on that from my attorney. And then that can make you guys feel better. Who should I communicate with? Greg or-
You can connect with Scott directly. I think it's probably your best
I'll
bet.
tell you what, you give me here, I will shoot you an email right now and we'll have each other's contact.
Okay,
Okay,
great. All right.
thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. You're certainly welcome to join us for the rest of the meeting or sneak quietly out. It's entirely up to
I'm
you.
gonna sneak quietly out.
Okay, fair warning, there is a microphone. There is a microphone dead center on the path out, so maybe taking a more
okay.
circuitous route.
All right, I'm walking out, rolling it down.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
Moving on, everybody received and reviewed the September 5th minutes. Any questions there?
Move to approve.
Mr. Glass moves to approve. McCartney for a second. On the question, all in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Approved. Correspondence, Mr. Zemrak.
Let's see. Received a bill from Hogan Willig for Alden's CON that was forwarded to the treasurer. From Gloria Grant Delfonso, training seminar on January 11th and 12th. That was emailed to the council. Also emailed to the council was another memo from Gloria for advanced assisting individual through crisis on February 8th and 9th. And then I also received a bill on the 18th of December regarding Orchard Park's Fire District's expansion of territory, their attorney, and that was forwarded to the treasurer.
Any questions about correspondence? Thank you. Treasurer's report, Ms. Barber?
Did everyone get I mailed it previously. Our expenditures to date are $15,000. We still have close to $10,000 remaining. We have received both of our quarterly, I claimed first and second quarters. We received those. They've been deposited. The third quarter will be claimed in the next couple of weeks. We do need to have a transfer approved from, I would suggest, the meeting expense line to the professional fees line to cover the overage, $2,500. Those were for the attorney fees with our incorporation and so forth. Are there any questions?
First, we'll need a motion to approve the report. Mr. Glass? Mr. Burt? On the question? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. And the second will be a motion to approve a transfer of how much?
That should come under new business.
Under new business?
New business.
Should.
Okay,
That's fine.
we'll move that down to new business. Okay. Medical Advisory Committee, Mr. Gill is not here. He did send an email in advance that asked that we defer to Mr. Wander for any information from the REMAC.
Okay. The next meeting is going to be on January 30th. They had to shift the date because it conflicted with the WEREMSCO meeting, and that was the next available date that they were able to convene. It's going to be at 1 o'clock at Twin City Ambulance again, and so that will be the next meeting time. In terms of items of significance that came up in the November meeting, off the top of my head, I don't recall anything earth-shattering that occurred. So it was sort of business as usual.
I believe there's an issue for the CQI committee, and Dr. Clemency really wants somebody to be the chair.
Yes.
That was it.
Yeah, so that's it. Unless
Anybody have
anyone
any-
else is there.
Anybody have anything you want to go back to REMAC? Okay. New York State Council, again, email from Mr. Gill. He says the council meeting is January 13th and 14th. He has not yet received the minutes from the previous meeting. He's not received the agenda for the subsequent meeting. And we'll address the state's position on Orchard Park at the Systems Committee. Anybody have anything for the state council to report to Mr. Gill? Okay. Erie County, also Mr. Gill referring to his email, Erie County had 2 instructor update courses completed with a total of 35 attendees. We'll host the first CLI classes January 18th, 19th, and 26th. They already have 25 registrants. That was it from Erie County, unless, JT, anything else? Okay. For Erie County? Excellent. For Wyoming County, Mr. Stryker isn't here. Mr. Santoro, do you have anything in his stead?
Nothing earth shattering.
Wyoming County still there?
Still there.
Okay.
They were away the other day.
All right. Anybody have anything for Wyoming County? Okay, Western New York Stress, from Mr. Gill's email, there was 3 debriefings in November and December, a total of 23 for the year of 2018. There was no trainings in November or December, but they did conduct 7 training sessions in 2018. That was the extent of the information provided. Anything for Western New York Stress? Okay. Committee reports, budget, Mr. Santoro.
All good.
Anything for budget? Membership. Did you get that from members?
Yes, she did email me back. We currently have 2 pending Erie County applications. Applications have been received. They were told that they're pending because we were waiting, I have on a waiting list, but both individuals, they were not spoken to. So we just physically received an application, but we did not talk to these people about their intentions.
Do we know from whom they were received?
Steve Yohe and O'Donnell,
Lynn?
Lynn O'Donnell.
And with Mr. Trepez's resignation, do we know who is the next in line of succession to become a regular member? I believe it should be either Tom Maxion or Don Turner.
Please stand by. I did ask her that question, I just wanna make sure
One of you two gentlemen is the next as a regular member, then whomever isn't will be the alternate, and then Eric Burt will be next, and Tom Barcy behind Eric. I believe it was Tom by date of application, but I'm not positive. Would you like to go back to him?
I don't know where I put it. Yeah, I'll come back. I'll find it.
Since that's an automated process that doesn't require a vote, people naturally ascend as outlined in the bylaws. We can probably let that go between meetings and then vote on the applicants at the next meeting. Does that seem?
I only think we should talk to these applicants. I mean, their applications were put in 3 of 18 and 4 of 18. I mean, are they still interested? What's their intentions? I mean,
Can we invite the applicants to our?
That's the membership committee's responsibility to bring them in either here or to meet with them prior.
Or to invite them to the executive meeting, so we'll touch base with
What they
them.
want to bring to the,
I thought she had said that Erie County was at capacity, and that's why they weren't holding.
They're pending, so I know for certain they're pending right now because Erie County is at capacity, was at capacity. We have 13 regular members and 4 alternates. Don Treep has resigned because of his appointment to the Bureau of EMS, which created 12 regular members and 4 alternates. One alternate, whomever is most senior, naturally becomes the regular member, which creates a vacancy for the alternates. And we have 2 pending applications for the alternate position.
Chris, do you want me to take them and call them, or email Ann and?
I would, I would have Ann. Are you on the committee? Yeah, I would have, your committee should call them and, you know, have a conversation with them, invite them.
Let me know if we schedule a committee meeting.
Come down.
Thank you. Anything for membership other than, well, that? Okay. Mr. Spanik's not here for systems. I believe he asked, oh, okay. I thought we had something. I believe he asked Mr. Mahoney to report.
Sure. Yeah, so the systems committee met on the 19th of December to review 2 related applications submitted by Lancaster Voluntary Ambulance Corporation. The reason there was 2, one sought expansion territory into the town of Alden, and the other sought expansion into the village of Alden. I think they separated them just in case there was an issue with one being successful and the other not. So ultimately, those applications were deemed incomplete and returned around the 21st of December. But those are in the works, it seems like. That's all systems committee got that I know.
Also for the systems committee, the SEMSCO did vote on the appeal of the Orchard Park EOT and our original application. You all should have received the ALJ's decision disseminated by email from Mr. Zemrak earlier. If you read through that, the short version is that the determination by the administrative law judge and subsequently by the SEMSCO was that need was not established by the applicant. However, we were admonished to be more careful in our procedures going forward, and some of the questions about the voting was an issue, but it's pretty clear that the right course of action was not to approve the application, but that our process had some flaws in the evening, and all of you feel free certainly to read that and come back. I think that most of that's been cleared up to the other members of the systems committee, most of that's been cleared up in the process, but any comments or?
Sure, I haven't had a chance to read it, I'll be honest, because I saw it got emailed like 2 hours ago. But what was the flaw in summary in our process?
The flaw in the voting process, and it's actually kind of funny because it seems like the ALJ or I didn't look, the stenographer might have gotten confused between Mr. Burt and Dr. Bart. As we were talking about who was a member and who was not a member, there was a lot of question there.
Yeah.
And that potentially, had somebody been a member, that somebody could have cast an approving vote for the 14th vote in favor, but that the process was flawed. So clearing up the membership issue, and I guess more clearly pronouncing Burt and Bart would have helped the process, which we can squarely put it me.
Okay.
But go read it, it's
will.
entertaining nonetheless. Anything else for systems? Training and ed, Mr. Zemrick.
I haven't gotten anything. Any course applications or?
No applications or new information? Okay. Anything for training and ed?
Are you getting them?
What?
I don't think any of them.
Course applications.
Are-
And anything that we would have gotten, we would have forwarded. I don't often, a lot of times Karen's the only one who sees it, so.
You should have, I have a course and it's been submitted. I don't know where it is then.
Submitted to,
Hmm?
submitted
To us. And I have not gotten paperwork. Teaching a course through ECC
When was it sent?
last month.
I'll find out.
I'm not getting mail. I've gotten 4 pieces of mail, and it seems odd, I should be getting more mail. When I was getting the mail from the post office box, I was getting mail, and I only have 4 pieces of mail that I've gotten since September.
Yeah, I mean, Karen was on vacation from the day before Thanksgiving in that following week. But other than that, she's been there, so, and she would be getting that. So thank you for bringing it up. I will look into it and make sure there's not an issue.
Yeah, I don't know where it's going, because
Okay.
even the county classes for the spring should definitely be coming in by now.
And I'm happy to get an answer, and I'll
Okay.
reply to all by the email and just follow up with everybody so we're aware of it.
Thank you.
Okay?
So obviously nothing else in training and ed. Anything for training and ed? Okay, bylaws, Mr. Maxian.
Thank you. We had our original meeting, had a second meeting scheduled, and on that day, a couple of people canceled, so we could not meet because we wouldn't have a quorum. So we haven't progressed at all. And also have a couple of additional responsibilities at work that will change my travel schedule to traveling about 80% of the time. So I just will not be able to do what needs to be done with this. Sort of apologize, but I need to get myself off that committee and pass on what we have done to somebody. Sincerely apologize.
So Mr. Maxian resigns from the bylaws committee. Do we have any of the current members who are willing to assume the mantle in the interim until a subsequent chair is elected?
What are you looking for?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Mr. Glass will serve as the chair until the committee meets and is able to elect a subsequent chair.
6 months? That was a good transition.
That's a funny shape for a hot potato. Anybody have anything for the outgoing or incoming chairs of the bylaws committee? Hearing none. For awards and PR, referring back to Mr. Gill's email.
Oh, yeah, I did.
Awards dinner, we need applications. They must be submitted to our committee by April 15th. Our deadline to submit to New York State for consideration for the state awards is May 1st. So the committee has to receive them by April 15th for a decision. The dinner date is not yet determined, and Bill Stryker is going to have a location for us unless Bill told somebody who knows where it is.
Working on the creamery in Erie, so I believe there's a meeting next week to make sure the venue is adequate.
So maybe at the creamery? Okay.
I thought we were doing it May first.
The awards dinner?
Yes.
Okay, it was no,
Yeah, that was
The last meeting that you had, we decided
Okay.
to change it to
May 1st.
Yeah, because Greg had mentioned something.
That
with
meeting
the
was a while
state,
ago,
that the state wants all the applications or the awards submitted earlier than what we had in the past.
Okay, so the awards dinner is May 1st. Potentially at the creamery, we'll hear more from somebody at some point. Okay. Anything for awards? Everybody knows the application's on our website. You can refer people there, you can email them out, whatever is appropriate. Okay. Program Agency Steering Committee, I think we struck as a committee. So that's just a, yep. New York State DOH, Mr. Major.
Thank you. Just a couple things. One, the Bureau has added a staff member. It's a deputy director under Ryan. His name is Steve DeJure. He started like last week. Ryan's got him assigned to like a 6-month special projects assignment. So he does plan to travel and get out of it. And I don't think his will be as in depth as a listening tour, but I know he's going to be coming to the region at some point. I'm not sure he's going to be going to council meetings or exactly what direction, but it's good to have a number 2 person join the bureau, and he.
What's his name?
I haven't. It's Steve DeJure. I don't know how to spell it, so don't quote me.
That's Steve.
Steve. Let's just say Steve, okay? And I'll get you the. I'll send you his contact information, okay? So, yeah, I have not met him yet, I don't know much of him. I know he comes from Oneida County, he was running the ambulance service there, and he's got CIC, he's got education background, and he's certainly got a lot of operational background, so anyhow, new addition to the Bureau, which is good, because usually we're announcing that somebody has left the Bureau, so it's nice that we've gained a staff member there. Couple other things, just quickly, from the agency level, our inspection process is going to be changing. We're going to be moving over to a 100% electronic, iPad-based system in which the inspectors will utilize the iPad, and it's going to bring us into the 21st century. And that's supposedly going to start in February. We've been leading the project out of the Buffalo region, and we think it's going to be a good product. So, and we're also in the process of migrating our EMS prod, basically our central office database to a new platform once that gets finalized. I don't know what the transition of that will be, but we're moving forward with getting ourselves more paperless, more electronic, and emailing the reports out instantly to the agencies, and that's sort of the goal of the process instead of pushing paper and that kind of stuff. So we're good to see those things happen. Just a couple other things. From the program agency meeting that we had, and we were talking about revising the EMS mutual aid policy statement a little bit based on some statewide issues. But one of the things that the regional councils and including the program agencies and the regional offices have been asked to remind agencies to work with the county coordinators, and I know that at least Ken Peterson and Greg from the advisory board are going to be sending out a memo to agencies to update their EMS mutual aid plan, and it'll be vetted through the county coordinator and then up through the regional council for approval and loop back to the bureau, just so we have that on file. We found obviously across the state that there's a lot of agency to agency mutual aid agreements that have not been vetted through either the county coordinator or the regional council as is required by our policy statement that came out in 2000. It's 1206. So and basically it's been a few years since that policy statement came out, and many agencies have not provided that data effectively through the regional council. And I'm not sure if you guys have good records of any that have been previously approved but I know there's county mutual aid plans that have been approved, but it's not necessarily agency level mutual aid descriptors that are required in Part 800. So that's what we're looking at, is be seeing some information coming forward. Of course, the policy statement is not going to change until after we go through this process, so there'll be, potentially some revisions after that. But I think it'll streamline and make it a bit easier, is what the goal of the updated policy is, but there's no timeline on that. So I don't want to give you misinformation, but at least what we are saying is for at the agency level to ensure that you're compliant and supply your mutual aid format right in the policy statement that'll be going out to the county coordinators to vet that up through the regional councils. So a little rambling there, but it gets there at the end, okay? And other than that, I don't think there's anything else to report unless anybody's got any questions, so thank you.
Anything for Bureau of EMS, Mr. Major?
Uh-oh, here we go.
Sorry, man.
No, you're good.
I was just reading Scott's report here. Do you know if the CME requirements are gonna be voted on this month?
They will not be voted on this month, is what I've been told. We have, I think that was something that we let the horse out of the gate a little too quick on there, obviously. About a year ago, we came out and we said, hey, not for nothing, this is the new stuff, it's all ready to go, we're almost ready, it's gonna be voted on, and I'm not sure what, I cannot tell you what the holdup was. We've also heard at the Bureau level multiple times that, looks like we're striving for January. That was back in September, we're striving for January. And then in talking to Ryan, the Bureau Director, he said, no, it's not gonna be voted on in January, hopefully the first quarter of 2019. I'm not even gonna give you a date, I have no idea. We should have never communicated that information out, I apologize for that.
Yeah.
My understanding is, the real life, the policy manual has been changed and adjusted to meet those forms that they had sent out. Those, realistically, none of the hours and that kind of stuff have changed, but it has not gone through the appropriate process or vetting to get to the level of it's ready for approval. And I'm not sure, I don't know what the holdup is, but I can tell you there's a holdup, so.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
What about, have you heard anything with the lowering the age to 17 to the 18?
Oh, 17, that's, we're gonna have more information about that at the State Council this month. It went through the second public comment period, and then there's, all sorts of regulatory, it was posted on the state registry probably 3 months ago. Scott, do you know more about when it was? It was about 3 months ago for the second revision of open comments, or public comments. That process closed, and will hopefully, it's getting very, very close, and hopefully at the CMAC meeting, or CMAC WEREMSCO meeting, it'll be rolled out, but I'm not 100% sure. It's like right at the final,
Right at the end of the tunnel.
It's not like the CME stuff. I mean, this supposedly is real and it's gonna happen, so. Once it's approved, it's just gonna be boom, it's gonna be changed, and there'll be a notice sent out, and that's it. There's no waiting period or anything to that effect, but once it gets through the final, from the state registry, it's already, that second comment period has closed. That's what we just heard today.
It's
So,
still on the action pending index for the New York State Registry,
It is?
published on January 2nd with an expiration date of January 24th, 2019. So
Okay,
they'll either
so-
act on it on
Yeah.
January 19th, or it will, by virtue of what appears here, expire and have to be reintroduced.
And what Ryan said today is they think that it's gonna, but, like I say, to go through.
It's still on the index as
Yeah,
of
it's still on
today.
the index. Okay, thank you. So, that's what we were told today, so.
Good. Anybody have anything else for the Bureau? But Donna's bringing it right to you. Okay. For the executive committee met on December the 5th. We did not, unfortunately, have quorum. As a result, we had a nice conversation. The key points from the conversation was our 501c3 status is still pending. You guessed it, government shutdown. They'll get here when it gets here. What are we on, day 13 now? Anybody knows?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so somewhere later on. We talked a little bit about the layout for the website. I think Mike and Scott have a little more on that, but they're doing some rebranding, coordination stuff. What they showed to us looked pretty good. We expect to see more in the near future, and we'll have that to work with. The membership discussion we had tonight is all set. Mark Sapanik is indicated he does not want to remain the chair of the Systems Committee. If you're not currently on the Systems Committee and you want to chair it, I'm sure if you join, we'll elect you, no problem. If you don't, I guess I can entice you with it's a whole lot of work for exactly the same pay. So let us know. And I think that is everything from executive. Anything for executive? We'll meet again February 6th. Okay. Program agency, Mr. Wander.
So everyone should have received a copy of the report. It did go out by email, and then I passed them out, which is real quick overview. The notices and the training notices have also gone out. Everything that's on here actually dates back to the September meeting because we didn't meet in November. So that's why it's pretty extensive for this report. We've done some trainings, and one of the things that kind of struck me in looking at a multi-month list of training notices that have gone out. One of the things I have the opportunity to do is I'm always paying attention to what other program agencies are doing and what's going on in their region. And one of the things that I've seen, I consider this to be a really, really good thing. I've seen a shift in particular in this region from it being the Scott Wander show of all of the training and all of that stuff to it's turned into multi-agency. Twin Cities always hosting stuff. Mercy Flight, AMR, the agencies are really engaging training and embracing this and promoting this and opening it up system-wide. And I think personally that that's something as a region we should be proud of because it's, we don't necessarily as a program agency have a deliverable to be going out and doing training. Our contract is actually to promote the training that's going on in the region. Now if it doesn't exist, certainly I have an interest in making it happen for as best as we can. But I really think we should be proud of what we're seeing on here because as you see the things that are going on in this report, these are boots on the ground EMS services who truly understand the issues that they're individually facing day in and day out, seeking training, being approached by the healthcare systems. I think it's a great thing, and I hope we continue to see that, and that I would encourage you, if I could take the liberty to do so as a council, we should be encouraging this and seeking for more agencies to develop these relationships and get this kind of really good training that out there to the community. I'll get off my soapbox, but to our region, good job, in my opinion. So Brian did talk a little bit about the websites, and we have gone through a revision to the program agency's website, as well as we now essentially have a partition. We have the Wyoming-Erie REMAC website, which if you go to our website and you select REMAC, it's going to take you to that. The idea behind this is not to create a new environment, so to say, or anything that competes with the existing REMAC site, but what we were finding is that some of the changes weren't getting pushed up that needed to get pushed up, information wasn't getting out, and one of the things that we heard very loudly from providers and officers in the region is that that they always felt like they couldn't find the information that they were looking for, didn't know where to go to find it. And so our change to our website was really more of a topic-driven item, so that if you're looking for something that is credentialing, you can just go to credentialing, and the site should drive you to the appropriate organization that oversees credentialing. And so there's a lot of different things that applies to. By no means is what we have up there an absolutely perfect product, but it was the first step to try to get this so that as people are coming in, they don't have to know that the Regional EMS Council handles system issues, or that that the REMAC handles credentialing, and they should just be able to pick that topic, and the site should be able to take them there. And that's something that we've heard for a number of years, feedback from the EMS community in trying to be resourceful to the EMS officers. So yes, you're going to go to the site, you're probably going to find glitches, and we want to hear about that from you. So if you're in the process of utilizing these sites, and you find that there's a problem, please do communicate with me right away so that we can get on top of that and fix it. In the world of web, you will notice that we have a whole new onslaught of recording equipment. This meeting right now is actually being live streamed, and we will be live streaming these meetings in the future. So as providers, even if they wanted to, you know, they're posted on a corner and they wanted to tune in and see what the Regional EMS Council was about, they can do it. They can do it from their phones. They can watch this. It goes up on YouTube. And I want to tell you where that came from. That was actually feedback that came from Brian from a meeting when we were kind of talking about website stuff. And he said, hey, look, at Twin City, we live stream our employee meetings. Is there any way that we could do that with the Regional EMS Council meeting? My answer was, great idea. When we looked and we felt our equipment really wasn't capable, we've spent a couple $1,000s in equipment to try to upgrade what we have and put a better product out there. It will also help with the closed captioning piece of things for that requirement, because as soon as this goes up there, there's a service within YouTube that's going to close caption it, so that eliminated that delay. And my point in telling you the story about Brian is that if you guys have ideas or you have other people who have ideas, I want to hear about them. I can't do this on my own. I need feedback, so please never be shy about reaching out to me and saying, hey, I have an idea, and if you know me, if it's a crazy one, I'll tell you, I think you're crazy, but we might like it and do it. So a couple of other notes that come in from here. The Bureau's moving to an electronic mission. This is coming from our conference call today. So the EMT verification process is now electronic, and one of the things that they're hoping is their next step is for the CME program, where applications could potentially be submitted electronically, and that's meaning that you take your existing forms and you would submit it electronically, but you would get a receipt back from the Bureau. It would be a designated address, so you'd get a response back that acknowledges that they receive it. So this should eliminate that whole need for certified mail that a lot of people are doing and spending big bucks on. The new director, Ryan Greenberg, seems like he's very in tune with trying to really take the Bureau to the next step and try to make things much more efficient. So we're really encouraged by that. The full service inspections are going to be actually migrating to iPads. So as the Bureau goes out and does full service inspections, they're no longer going to be leaving paper copies of reports with people. They'll email it to whoever is, we're thinking, I think you told me it was whoever's in prod, or if they have others, you can have up to like 8 or 10 of them that you can send the copies of the reports to. So stay tuned, there's going to be more on that. There's several new grant-funded positions within the Bureau that are going to be pushed out shortly. I know one of them is the Vital Signs Conference Coordinator, which I think was open previously, and there's a few other ones that they're going to be pushing out. So as I get that information, I'll be sharing it with the EMS community. The Bureau has secured a marketing firm to work with them on EMS recruitment and retention, and so there's going to be some information that's going to be coming out on that. One of the ideas that was kicked around was utilizing EMS week, that Sunday in EMS week. Try to utilize that as a launching thing for a recruitment campaign. Regional faculty, you've heard me, and this is my last item for you. Regional faculty, you've heard me express my concern with having sufficient regional faculty to be able to host instructor level programs and complete the mission of regional faculty in the past. We also, you may be aware that some people locally have submitted letters of interest to the Bureau to become a part of regional faculty. And so the Bureau has sent acknowledgement letters to the people who have applied or expressed interest. These are by no means saying that they're a part of regional faculty, it just acknowledges that they received it, and they're making their plans on how to move forward. They're trying to revise the regional faculty program, and all of this too while Andy has stepped away as the director of the Education Certification Unit. So there's some progress with it. My hope is, and I expressed this to Ryan today during the call, is that we aren't just, that we can't canvass everybody. anybody who's eligible to become regional faculty, that they are at least aware of the opportunity and given an opportunity to submit a letter of interest. I'm not advocating that they do, maybe some of them we don't want them to, but that's not our call. This has been taken out of the region's hands. The Bureau, the central office, is dealing with this with all the applicants, and so I'm just asking that we get the information out so that anybody who's qualified can actually be considered for the position, so that we actually know who the pool of candidates are for future positions. So that was my ask to them, and we'll see where it goes. But other than that, I think that's it for me, unless you have any other questions.
Do we know what the current candidate list is?
No.
The current.
No.
Won't share that, or just haven't?
I didn't specifically ask. I think I know of 3 people from Wyoming-Erie region that have applied, but again, we're relying on course sponsors to take that back to their eligible CICs, and there's not a clear understanding of exactly what regional qualified regional faculty candidate is anyway. So,
Anything for program agency? Thanks, Scott.
thanks.
No, we're calling old business. No old business. New business, we have letters of appointment from Mercy Ambulatory Care Center and Mercy Hospital requesting that Dr. Michael Mangione be appointed, that we approve his appointment to the REMAC for Mercy Ambulatory Care Center, and the same exact doctor for Mercy Hospital. I don't believe that any one REMAC member can represent 2 hospitals, as it would provide for.
They
Did he just
can, they
do-
only get 1 vote.
One vote, they can
They
represent 2.
can, but they only get 1 vote.
Well, are they doing the one doctor because it's all part of Catholic Health? So is that what they're thinking?
REMAC membership is by facility.
Okay.
The facilities are enumerated on the membership list. So, and these were sent separately, a month apart, November 12th and December 12th.
Oh, all right, never mind.
So with the understanding that the physician gets only 1 vote and would represent both Mercy Hospital and Mercy Ambulatory Care Center, hear a motion to approve him to the REMAC.
Motion,
Sorry, Carol.
motion
That
to
vote. And second from Mr. McCartan on the question. All in favor, Mr. Turner?
Does that affect the membership, the vote part, where they could now tie if they were split on something?
I don't have the vote count in terms of who represents what, but once they have quorum, the quorum could be an even number or an odd number.
Okay.
If it were to be an even number for quorum, and the vote were to tie, the bylaws, I believe, do call for the chair to break the tie.
Chair to break the tie.
So I don't think that anything could end in a tie. With my experience, it wouldn't. They'll
Yeah.
find a way to deal with one way or another. Quorum being a larger issue, of course.
Mhm.
Do you want me to read the section out of the REMAC bylaws
Which section?
that pertains to the
Yes.
voting? Okay. It's under Article 4, Section 5. A physician may represent more than 1 voting seat, but she will only have 1 vote for any REMAC proceeding. If a member's alternate is present and the member represents more than 1 voting seat, the member may choose to declare his/her representation at the time of the meeting for the voting seat that the alternate present does not represent. You know, it's a little, wrap your head around it. If this declaration occurs, the alternate is allowed to vote on any proceedings at that meeting.
Okay, so my first question is, those are the bylaws from the REMAC website, or
Mhm.
the bylaws that actually exist?
They're from the REMAC website.
Okay, so we've already been told that those aren't their current bylaws though, and we'd have to find those. The second thing that I just realized is on one appointment, it's Dr. Michael Mann, M-A-N-G-I-O-N-E, on the other it's M-A-G-I-O-N-E. The spelling represented twice, it might actually be 2 different positions with remarkably close names. I'm serious.
Thank you for being the grammar police.
Do you want to send that back for clarification?
I think that might be appropriate, but we have discussion on a motion to approve, so
May I withdraw my motion?
Mr. Glass, do we vote the motion and reject it and then move forward, or do we withdraw it?
I would probably suggest that whoever seconded it rescinds their second, and whoever made the motion rescinds their.
I withdraw my motion.
Okay, so the sponsor seconded, withdrawn, so we have a motion. So we will return to the applicant for more information and then bring it back in March if everybody's good with that.
You also may want to send along the differentiation that they can't, just so they're aware, I'm certain that they're probably not.
Yeah.
But that if it's the same individual, they cannot represent with 2 votes, that they would have to pick somebody else. So you might want to clarify that for them.
We will seek clarification.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Is there 2 for, under Catholic Health? So, St. Joe's is a division of Sisters of Charity. MAC is actually Mercy Hospital Orchard Park Division. It is legally part of Buffalo Mercy on Abbott Road. Is there 2 individuals, Sisters St. Joe's, or is it 1? Because it's 1 hospital.
I believe the REMAC membership still lists a representative for each. Scott seems to be confirming that. The REMAC membership, although they are 1 hospital, they're still divided for.
2 separate folks.
Yes. So, all right, we will get clarification and come back.
Yeah, because we did that just
Okay. So that was new business number 1. Before we go to council nominations,
Didn't we have to do that budget?
The
yes, that's what I was,
Yeah.
what was the transfer amount?
2,500?
2,500 from the meeting expenses.
Okay, Mr. McCarthy, you just made a motion that we transfer 2,500 from meeting expenses to,
Second.
sorry, I heard.
Professional services,
Oh,
right?
to professional services second.
Yeah.
Chalmers. On the question? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. And before we get to that, one other thing was supposed to make the agenda, I will read quickly. The REMO, which is Hudson Valley's WEREMSCO, has sent a letter to Commissioner Howard Zucker and solicited other WEREMSCOs to do the same. The letter reads, the Hudson Mohawk Regional EMS Council strongly supports the proposal in the 2018-2019 executive budget to permit healthcare providers to collaborate with physicians and other healthcare providers in community paramedicine programs in our state. Mobile integrated healthcare systems allow emergency medical services personnel to assist persons in addressing social determinants of health and provide physician-directed care within the scope of practice in residential settings. While this proposed legislation was well received by many members of the legislature, it was not passed by the Assembly and therefore did not become law. We request that you work with Governor Cuomo to ensure that this proposal to enable community paramedicine in New York State is included in the 2019-2020 executive budget. Enabling community paramedicine in New York State will allow pre-hospital care providers such as our local ambulance services a new way to achieve the healthcare goals of the triple aim, improving the quality of life of patients through improved quality of patient experience, better health, and reduced healthcare costs. Community paramedicine will empower emergency medical services agencies to undertake activities in collaborations with hospitals, physicians, home healthcare agencies, and other healthcare providers that can reduce unnecessary emergency department and inpatient utilization and lower the number of hospital readmissions. Community paramedicine and similar mobile integrated healthcare programs in other states have already demonstrated that EMS professionals in urban, suburban, and rural settings can fill gaps in the healthcare system, lower Medicaid costs, connect people in need with non-medical services that can lead to better health and improve outcomes in an efficient, cost-effective way. We're grateful for the inclusion of this language in the 2018-2019 executive budget through the leadership of the Department of Health and the executive branch. The governor's leadership on this issue is encouraging, and we anticipate that his persistence will help enact legislation favoring these beneficial initiatives during 2019 so that communities of healthcare providers can embrace this methodology for delivering compassionate care. Anybody want to make a motion to send a nearly identical letter on our letterhead with names and maybe some commas inserted to motion from Mr. Barcy, second by Mr. McCartan. On the question? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you all for your patience on that. And our final order of new business is council nominations. I will, with his acceptance, appoint Mr. Glass as our nominations chair and turn the meeting over to him.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. On the letterhead, is this electronic, or do we get any for that? Is that electronic?
Which letter, sir?
This one? I'm sorry, on the agenda.
Just the print copies that we have in front of
But we
us.
probably should change the chairman to chairperson. Top
How about just chair?
or chair. Okay, so, last month, or last meeting rather, it was a time when we do the nominations. Obviously, since we did not have a quorum, we elected not to have the meeting. So tonight what we'll do is, we'll take nominations from the floor. There's gonna be 3 positions open, or available. And then what'll happen is next meeting, will be the actual voting. What'll happen is the chair will start the meeting, then, and I'll write this up for her too, that you need to go and suspend the regular order of business, do your election, and then go back into regular order of business. We'll call for each position 3 times from the floor. At the close of each one, we'll need motion and a second to close the nominations. We'll also give, as we usually do, it's not in the bylaws, and it's something we've been talking about, whether we wanted in bylaws or procedures, but we've always, for the last several years, given the body an opportunity that if they could not make the meeting for the nominations, that we gave them 30 days to send in their intent if they would like a position. So I think we'll still do that unless there's any one that's opposed to that.
So, question, can we nominate somebody that's not here, or is that not legal?
You can, will they, have you spoken with them and will they accept?
Sure.
Okay. For the committee, what I'd like to do is, like Trace, there's chair and there's 1 individual from each county. So to help me out, I'd like Tracy to be on the committee and Tony from Wyoming County to be on the committee. I'll do all the work.
So what, nominations?
As long as you don't know what
I heard him. Yeah, that's what he said.
So the position,
That was live stream.
can't make this any more simpler for you. We'll open up nominations for chair-elect. 1 person has already indicated they would like to be considered for that position, Brian. We'll open up the position for chair-elect on the floor for the first time. Any interested?
I'd like to nominate Greg Gill, I guess.
And he indicates he would accept?
He actually asked me to nominate him, so I guess I
Okay. We'll open up nominations on the floor for chair-elect for the second time.
Can it?
And
Just to clarify, so it doesn't appear there was any impropriety, I had asked Crystal if she would nominate me for the position. You already indicated that I had been nominated, so I was not trying to suppress another nomination.
And for the third time. And we're
Make a
motion to
motion.
close nominations for chair-elect.
I'll make a motion to
Second, on question, all in favor? Against? For secretary, Chris Zemrick has indicated that he would like to continue in that position. It's a 2-year term. So I will open nominations on the floor for secretary first time.
Is Chris already nominated?
Second time. Third time for interest for secretary. Answer a motion to close nominations for secretary. Second. On the question, all in favor? Against? And we have an opening with Mr. Trepaz going on to bigger and better greener pastures. We have a vacancy as a director for Erie County. There's 2 directors. I have 1 individual that's interested, Don Turner. Again, that's a, excuse me, 2-year term, so I will open up floor for nominations for Director for Erie County once. Twice. Director for Erie County for the 3rd time.
Make a motion that's closed.
Second. On the question, all in favor? Against? So be it. So we will have, in March, what will happen is the secretary will, so we'll make a motion, the secretary cast 1 ballot for the unopposed position. Well, no, let me knock that off, disregard that. I'll ask the secretary, I'm getting ahead of myself, to send out to the membership that I need back to me by February 6th. Anyone interested in running for the positions of chair-elect, secretary, and director. And what then I will do, I'll tabulate that up. I will make ballots up for you guys. I will ask Tracy and Tony to I'll take care of everything, but I will not be at the next meeting because I will be masking in the afterglow at Buffalo General. Because I'm finally having bilateral knee operations done, so they will have all the information and everything presented. So with that said, I will turn it back over to you, Mr. Chair.
Good luck with your knee operation, and thank you for chairing the nominations committee. Does anybody have any other new business? All right, before we get knocked out, any motion to adjourn? Mr. Turner. Thank you, everybody.